The Holistic Housewife is in the house today talking about anxiety and depression, how to move past it so you can live your best life at home and in your business. I don't know how Brooke and I managed to take a hard topic and have some laughs, but we did it. So if you're feeling down and need to smile and need to laugh today, tune in to today's episode. You're listening to the Badass is the New Black podcast. I'm Krissy Chin, your host, here to teach you how to build an online business that you love and in a way that allows you to work a little bit less so you can enjoy a whole lot more. My hope is that you've showed up to today's episode ready to learn something new and will be inspired to take imperfect action in your business right away. I won't make you wait any longer. Let's dive in. Let's welcome Brooke Craig, the holistic housewife, to the podcast. She's a wife, mother, board-certified holistic health practitioner, a soulful, self-loving life coach, a young living essential oils enthusiast, and an author. She's all about trying to live life as happy and holistically as possible in this modern day. And what I love about Brooke is that she believes we aren't meant to live life in mediocrity, and we are designed for awesomeness. We're not meant to, settle for less. We're meant to shine bright and to live life, the life that we deserve, and which feels so aligned with me, which is why I'm really excited to talk to Brooke today, because I feel like we're kindred spirits from afar. So welcome, Brooke, to the podcast. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thanks. I'm so excited to do this, and it's nice to not have to sit and watch cartoons with my kids for once.
Yeah, right. They're by themselves. It's like, do not come in here. There's a million other adults in the house. You go ask someone else if you need strawberries, not me.
Yeah, I was like, here's the snacks, here's the water, deal with it.
Right, exactly. I love it. So let's just dive right in and hear a little bit more about your background, how you ended up, doing what you're doing now.
So, the story is it's a long one, so I'll try to keep it short. I tell my story so often that for me, it's just like there's no value in it anymore. But I know for someone else that it's really important, and that's why I share it, and I share it openly. So, for those of you who don't know me, I deal with anxiety. With anxiety, you get the side effect of depression and stuff like that. So if you're easily triggered, I definitely want you to take a deep breath right now and just hear my heart with this. My intentions are never to trigger anyone, but just share that you're not alone in this struggle. So I was married at 19, had my first baby at 23, started my own business. I was an event planner. I live down here in South Florida, and I had built this business from the ground up, and we're so busy. We had multiple weddings every single weekend. We were featured in magazines and on TV. And about a few years into my business, my husband was like, I'm not happy. It was more words than that, but basically I'm not happy. And how, I'm never home. I'm home. I'm always on my phone, Googling, color schemes and pictures and stuff like that. And if I'm bothered, us moms, we do so much. I would just snap, and I wasn't just snapping at him. I was snapping at my son that was, 2.5, 3 years old at the time. And when he came to me, it was right after the holidays, and which is one of the busiest times for the wedding industry. And I kind of felt sideswiped. My first instinct was like, you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm a strong, independent woman, and you should be proud of me, not, angry at me. Mm-hmm. And then I really had to sit with that and hear his heart on that. And I did realize, I am busy, I am stressed out, even though this is my passion and it's a creative outlet for me, it does consume me. And I feel that and I see that. So I decided to close my business. And because I had been going for so many years nonstop, being a mom, keeping the house clean, CrossFit, eating healthy, running my business, helping my husband with his business, the minute that I decided to let go of this, my body freaked out on me. And my son was in school. I closed my office and I was bringing things home. And as I'm going up the stairs, I'm bringing the pictures in, and I was going to hang the pictures on my wall. And my body started to feel really weird. And I was like, what is this? And I started to feel like almost like numb tingling in my extremities, in my arms and my legs. And I started to feel like my heart was beating really fast. But I figured, all right, like I'm running up and down the stairs. It's probably that. And mind you, I was working on 1 cup of Starbucks coffee and driving back and forth. And so I was searching for a screwdriver to hang a picture. And I remember opening a drawer, my husband's sock drawer, because that's where everyone keeps their screwdrivers. And because my body was already freaking out, my mind started to freak out. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if I hurt myself? And in that moment, my brain stopped, and my brain's like, we're going to sit on top of this thought. We're going to sit on top of this feeling, because that's not normal. What you're feeling is not normal. And now what you're thinking is not normal. So guess what, girl? You're going crazy. So from that moment on, it was a 2-day spiral of, oh my gosh, I'm going to hurt myself. Even though I didn't want to, it was this fear. And I later on learned that this is what's called a pure O moment. Not a pure O in a good way, a pure OCD moment. And basically when we're in heightened states of stress, when we use and abuse our bodies, when we're constantly surrounding toxic levels of stress, toxic products, which I was a bleach freak. Like everything was always bleached and fabulosoed and all this stuff. So it was really the perfect storm of chaos. And it spiraled me into a very, very, very dark place. I had admitted myself into a hospital. I Baker acted myself, which is like a 5150 type of situation. And in the hospital, I remember the doctor waking me up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Mind you, they had to strip search me, which was mortifying. And the doctor's like, you just need the thoughts to stop. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm here. Can you tell me why this is happening? And she's like, take these. I'm like, what are these? And she's like, just, I'm like, no, I'm not taking these. And then I realized they weren't going to discharge me until I took the meds. So I had to take these meds that made me feel even worse. And it started to kind of open my eyes to how certain systems work. And it's not really about the holistic healing, not holistic as far as like natural remedies, but the holistic. It's just here, Band-Aid this, here, shut up with this. And that wasn't okay with me. So I started seeing a psychiatrist and a psychologist, and I started to really work on myself, and I started to dive more into my spirituality. I started to understand that, our bodies are like a bucket, and they can only take so much. But for me, I just wanted to feel normal. That's all. I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I've had to learn through those years of dealing with myself, dealing with the darkness. I had to kind of understand that, we all have anxiety. We all have these things. There are situations where we have heightened states of anxiety. And we attach emotions and feelings to those things. So that's kind of what spiraled me into the holistic lifestyle. I ended up going back to school, getting my practitioner's license, and it's been uphill from there. So it doesn't mean that I don't struggle still, because there are moments like hello 2020 where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can keep on dealing with this. And then it triggers all those thoughts, but I'm more equipped now with the tools that I have and things like that to kind of ebb through those. So where before it felt like I would, take 10 steps forward and 100 steps back. And that's kind of how that goes.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people can probably relate this year if they weren't feeling any of those feelings before, if anything could trigger it, it was 2020 for sure. Thank you for sharing that. I don't know if I had ever heard your full story. So I appreciate you for opening up and sharing that with everyone. And I know that's such a big struggle with so many people, anxiety and depression. And so I know a lot of people will relate, and it will resonate with them, and, they'll continue to follow you from, here forward because they have that connection with you. So it's really cool. Tell me more about, so you closed your doors in your business and you focused on yourself, and then, how was it getting back into business? Because now you have your own business, and you're standing out online, and you've got a magazine, and you've got a book, and, all of this. So how was it getting back into it?
To be honest with you, I didn't want to do it because I knew that going through what I went through, I had worked so hard on myself. I had through a lot of really hard times. It almost broke up my marriage. Like we almost got divorced. Not because like I, quote unquote went crazy, but there were other things going on that it was a lot. And thank God for my husband, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to go through this. But My husband's very black and white. Like there's no like soft edges about him, which I love and I appreciate. But for him, it's like, you can't overwhelm yourself. So I had that in the back of my head, like, I can't overwhelm myself. And we were really trying to have a second child. And that's kind of like was not happening at the time. So thank God I went through what I went through, because it was 6 months to the day that, it was actually a year to the day that I decided to close my business. And at 6 months after I had got out of the hospital, I found out I was pregnant. And it was such a blessing, because I genuinely feel like everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not have been able to deal. I had a second child. And she was like everything we ever wanted. She was amazing. She's beautiful, but she was the worst baby ever, as far as like just needing to be held. And it really, going through what I went through, allowed me to embrace motherhood a lot more. I enjoyed it, where before I was so stressed out. I felt like I was failing as a mom, that I buried myself into my business. Because your kids, you know, they whine, they cry, they scream, they argue. They don't have the capacity to say, Mom, it's not you. You know,
Yeah.
Mom, you're doing a great job. I'm just being a jerk. And so that's hard. It's hard not to get those praises and those accolades. Even if you're someone like me, I don't need that. But it's just like, what am I doing wrong? So when I had my second baby, she was colicky. She had issues after vaccines, and we almost lost her twice. And it was just like this crazy situation, but I remained calm. But I knew that if I added one more thing to my plate,
Mm-hmm.
my bridge was going to break. So I had found essential oils, Young Living, because I was with chronic issues, and she wasn't sleeping. She was 14 months, not sleeping through the night. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to use her as a guinea pig.
I love that.
And we'll try these oils on her. If they don't work, I'll dispute it on my credit card. It's going to be fine. And lo and behold, at 14 months, that first time, it was for teething. And I did the lavender and the Roman chamomile with the copaiba on her jawline. She slept through the night. I didn't. I woke up at like 3:50 something in the morning, and I'm like crawling to her room, trying not to breathe because I didn't want to wake her up. And I'm like trying to blink and see if she's breathing, but I'm still half asleep. It was like the funniest thing ever. But I thought I was like, oh my God, she slept through the night. Like, and then I was just hooked. And, you know, my upline was like, you know, why don't you just try the business? And I'm like, no, leave me alone. I was probably really nasty about it. I have to ask them. But I was like, leave me alone. I don't want to sell your oils. I'm just going to use them. And then one day I posted how excited I was that she slept through the night. And then I healed a diaper rash. And I was like, oh, dang. And it was downhill from there. I was so worried, like I was going to overwhelm myself. So I think boundaries was really, really important for me, because I'm a boundaryless type of person. So
yeah. So before, you didn't really have boundaries with your first business. And so you were like, okay, if this is going to work, we're going to have to set some boundaries. I think that's so important. Every entrepreneur, like if you guys aren't setting boundaries, or it hasn't dawned on you to like set boundaries in your business, like it's time to think about it. I certainly have to constantly remind myself, boundaries, 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 like set the work hours, designate time. Because for me, I'm like, Brooke, first business, I will let my business consume me. And I love it so much. Like it feels easy to do. And then I do find myself like always doing work because I enjoy it, but then snapping at the kids because they're asking me for strawberries. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to finish this email. Like, leave me alone, kind of thing. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a horrible mother.
I know. And then that guilt can be such a heavy burden. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of us out there that are mompreneurs, so to speak. We lay down at the end of the day and we're done. Our poor husbands don't even get anything else from us because we're just on E. And then we do the ruminating of like, okay, well, I did this. I still need to do X, Y, and Z tomorrow. Oh, don't forget to call Becky with the good hair because, she really needs shampoo and I got to remind her. And then, oh, I can't believe I yelled at, little Sally today. And she's just so sweet. She didn't deserve that. So it's like this whole thing of like an additional weight that we don't need to carry, So I think definitely having those boundaries, like there's so much power in no or not right now. Or even, and this is one of the biggest tools that I've learned in my business is like saying, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You don't have to be the vessel for everything. You know, that's like a God-filled hole to fill. Like, you don't have to be the knowledge, the encyclopedia of whatever it is that you do. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. So, I think that, you know, having those boundaries and, you know, being authentic in those boundaries is really, really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah. And the boundaries, you know, sometimes I think about it. I used to think about, oh, I have to set boundaries so that I get my work done. But the boundaries are really to protect me and my family and my relationships for me, you know, because like I said, getting into or doing work all the time, and then, you know, everyone's pissed because I'm yelling at everyone. So,
Yeah.
you know, for everyone, I think it's completely different, but totally resonate with everything that you said, just all the things that are going through your head as, you know, as you're trying to raise, you know, your babies, and you're trying to, you know, have your relationship with your significant other like blossom and not, you know, fizzle out and die out, and fuel this business, right? Whatever the business is that you're doing, whether you're a coach or you're in network marketing or, you know, whatever it is, because it takes energy.
I mean, I think being an entrepreneur takes a really strong person, whether you're female or male. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what gender you are or what gender you identify with. Like, you're going to be multitasking. Like, you have to be the master as an entrepreneur. You have to be a master of multitasking. If you cannot deal, then it's just not going to work out. But I think at the end of the day, I've, you know, made posts about this and I've talked about this. You have to think about your legacy. It's not about like right now about the Insta fame or the followers or the love that you get on social media or how amazing people think that you are. It's really, really, really important to think about the legacy. Like, what type of legacy do I want to leave? And honestly, when I think about my legacy, it's not oils, it's not my business, it's not my bank account, it's the relationships that I have. That's what defines success, is not how many relationships you have, but the quality and the love behind those relationships and the realness behind those relationships. And if you're in Young Living or you're an entrepreneur, you're in the business to build relationships. And the foundation of those relationships start at home. And we lose track of that because we're like, oh, we got to meet this deadline, or it's hustle week. And, you know, so it's really important when you feel like you're not getting somewhere to focus back on yourself and focus back on those relationships that are important. Because if you can show up and you can be filled up, then you're going to be more productive.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive into your book, because I'm excited to talk to you about your book that just came out not too long ago. By the way, I ordered it. It should be like on its way here.
Yeah.
I think I ordered it last week. But so I'm excited to read it and get all of your nuggets. But tell us about your book. What made you decide to write it? What, you know, who is it for? What can we look forward to in it?
My book, this is my book. And I took a chance because I typically, for those of you who can't see, I'm holding my book up. But I was like, oh, this is like a sexy photo with a plunging neckline. And I was like, I'm just going to go for it. It's about stepping outside of your comfort zone. And I wrote this book with the intention of helping people show up as their authentic self. I see, and we all see it. We all see so many people, you know, showing up on social media, trying to be like perfectly airbrushed and flawless, and their hair is always done, their makeup's always done, their family looks perfect, but they don't struggle. So I really, really try to come to a point on my social media where I'm sharing my struggles, but not in like a complaining, naggy way, because I can totally do that. But it's really important to be able to show up as yourself. And I think when I first started my business, I was trying to be the people at the top, and I was trying to use words that, you know, this person was saying because, oh, that connected with my brain and it sounded great. And I wanted to sound great too, but there's nothing wrong with showing up with who you are. And I realized that was a full-time job, trying to, you know, be the people that I thought I should be, instead of just that surety and that security. But yeah, just being able to stand confident and shifting people's mindset, and getting out of those comparison traps. So that's kind of what this book is about. It's how to get out of your own way and stand confident in your business.
I love that. And so many people need that. I need that. So many times I'm thinking about like, oh, does this look good enough? Oh, did I say this well enough? Is it going to draw someone's attention? I'm always second guessing what I'm putting out there, and have to remember, like, that's the whole reason this podcast exists. Like, we're all badass in our own way. And if you're not showing your uniqueness about yourself, you're not standing out from anybody else. Right? If you're just comparing and then copying, I do actually like to tell people, like, copy the people that you love, and then whatever feels really icky to you is not you, and don't ever do it again.
Yeah.
Because like you said, that's the hard part, and it feels like a full-time job if you're trying to be somebody you're not. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like I said, that's just like another baggage. It's another pressure. And I think that when we can be ourselves unconditionally and unapologetically, it's such a beautiful thing. And we can share that, because I'm a firm believer, even on social media, like, we're having an energetic exchange here. On social media, that happens too. So people can feel your authenticity. They can feel your whether you're down or you're happy or you're, fudging it. And I think that that's so important, to make sure that that energetic exchange is a positive one and a productive one for people. So I always say, like follow the people that resonate with you, follow the people that you love, but don't try to be them, because your friends, your fans, whatever you want to call them, they're there to see you. Like, they're not there to see Krissy. They're there to see Brooke. They don't want you talking like anybody else, because that's not who they vibe with, and that's not realistic for them. Mm-hmm. So I think, being able to show up and normalizing those things is really important, because there's so many things on social media, and even in business. Like, how many times have you dealt with a business where you feel like you've been taken advantage of, or someone's trying to sell you something, or like there's ulterior motives? Like, we've all had that feeling. Mm-hmm. So just using your business, the way you show up, the way you talk is so massive, but we can't humanize if we're not being our true authentic selves.
Yeah. And I think one of the scariest things about being your true self is, like, then people are going to be judging you for you, right? Like, if you're pretending, actually, I'm stealing this slightly from Kim Kardashian. Kim K, what's up? I heard her in an interview, and she was like giving props to actors and actresses as that's a really hard job, because you're pretending to be someone else. And she's like, on my show, I'm like, I'm just trying to be me. And she goes, but it's really scary, because if people watch a movie and they don't like, the character, like, that's just a character you're playing. She goes, but if they see me on TV, she goes, and they don't like me, like, it's me. So they don't like me. And, like, no one likes to not be liked. Right. But the reality is that not everyone in the world is going to like you. There's people out there that you don't like. So, like, how can you expect everyone to like you? And so if you kind of take that pressure off of, not everyone has to like me. And if I'm my true authentic self, I'll resonate and draw in and attract the people that do love me for me, which will just fuel your energy. Like, that's all you need. So it's really that letting go. And I think, the title of your book, Leading with Valor, valor, courage, I think if people can get there, listeners, if you can get there and lead with courage to be who you are, your authentic self, like, the things that you want will come.
Yeah, that's so true. And like I said, it makes it so much easier to show up too when you're being yourself. So, it might be hard at first to cut the cord with the fear of judgment, or cut the cord with the anxiety of what if. But if you're constantly held down by those shackles, you're not going to go anywhere. And we're meant to soar, we're meant to fly, but we can't unless we deal with those things. And there's nothing wrong saying, like, hey, I can't deal with people judging me for X, Y, and Z. And I say it in my book, I have such a hard time being judged. But what I've realized in my life is that, number one, like, I curse. And I've had so many people, that are like, I just can't follow you because you said the F word. And I'm like, but I'm not a bad person. So if someone cannot see my heart and see that, like, it's just a form of expression, then, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry I offended you, truly and genuinely. But maybe you're not my people. And someone, it used to really bother me. Someone sent me song by, I think it's Casey Musgraves. It's like Not My Cup of Tea. And it is, you guys have to Google it. It's the best song ever. But yeah, there's a lot of judgment. And I think it's really hard, like on the other end, like here I am pouring my heart into the stuff that I do, putting myself out there for you to judge me. Like that's not cool. But at the end of the day, you never know what someone else is going through. Yeah. So the same thing for Kim Kardashian is like, she can just show up and stand confident in the fact that she's being her true self. And if someone takes that and feels like they need to judge, then maybe they're seeing the things about her that they don't like about themselves.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And that's your burden to bear. That's not your, cross to carry. It stinks because the majority of us, we all want to help people. We want to, do things and be a positive, influence in people's lives. And when someone's hurting or when they judge me, like, I feel like I have to explain this and I don't want to upset you. But at the end of the day, my defenselessness, it gives me so much more power. So when like that's saying something about myself, like there's something that's not healed inside of me is the reason why I need to, show up and defend myself, but I don't need to because my safety lays in my defenselessness. When I show up to defend, it's never going to be productive. It's just going to be a constant and open-ended argument with someone because those are the people that are not going to receive what you have to say anyways.
Yeah. So, yeah. 100% hit the nail on the head right there. Like if someone, okay, so entrepreneurs, we have, clients, whatever, I'm sure someone has gotten some nasty emails about how they didn't like, XYZ in your business or your products or your service or whatever. And you have to learn how to not let it bother you. And I kind of liked what you said, and I call it like receiving it through their filter. So you can put something out there and based on what their filter is how they're taking that in. So one person looks at it and is like, oh my gosh, that was so inspiring. And the other person looks at it and like, oh my gosh, whatever their reaction is, a negative reaction. And you can't control, like you said, something that's going on in their life, someone that they know just passed away, they're having an anxiety attack, they're, whatever it is causing them to, in that moment, like not appreciate what's going on or not find value in it. And you can't control that. So yeah, exactly what you said, like defending yourself isn't really going to do anything. With my mindset coach, it was kind of like, in those situations, what do you need to do for you? And often I was like, I just feel misunderstood. I just need to like say my piece. And he's like, well, if that's what you need for you, then you can do that. But like, don't expect that they're going to come back and be like, oh my gosh, yes, rainbows and butterflies. I totally get it. And I'm so sorry and whatever. He's like, but if you need to say what you need to say for you, then say it. But know that like they're taking it through their filter and it has nothing to do with you whatsoever. And so I've actually gotten so much better about like, I don't really need to say what it is to not feel misunderstood or whatever. I just now accept like, it doesn't have anything to do with me. I am pure. I am genuine. I am trying to do the best that I absolutely can. And
yeah. And I think that's really important is to recognize your intentions. We're a society of not looking at intentions. We're a society of emotional reactions. And we're human. Like we're all going to have emotional reactions and emotional responses, but what we have to start doing is looking at someone's heart behind what they're doing instead of how we're perceiving. We're never going to fix that. And I talk about that in my book. Like when you feel that like burning in your chest or like that fire in your stomach where you feel like you have to defend yourself or where you have to like respond back, don't do it. Because that feeling, that burning, that fire is a sign from the universe or from God, like just let it sit for a minute. And I've had to learn that because I'm quick to like, be like, okay, girl, no. Like I've learned to sit with that and be like, what is it about this situation that is bothering me so much? Like, why do I feel like I need to show her what's up? Why do I feel like I need to respond? Why am I hurt? And some of the time, most of the time, honestly, I'll respond. And I always like to respond from a calm space more than like that anxious, like rapid manic headspace. Yeah. And it's really important for me when I communicate it like you, if I feel necessary to like have that ease of like releasing it, I will tell the person, that's really hurtful. That really hurt my feelings. And most people don't genuinely want to hurt other people's feelings. Some people do, but that's, again, they're not your people. So, and a lot can be lost in translation over a computer.
Yeah.
People grow huge cojones behind the keyboard, and they can get on a roll. And some people, you know, sad people hurt people. That's what they do. And I had to teach my kid that at a very young age, you know, she's angry. She's angry because she's sad on the inside. She's not really angry. She's just sad, and it's coming out as anger. So I often have to remind myself of that elementary, you know, lesson that I've learned is like, hurt people hurt. And it stinks. But I think the best thing you can do in those situations is continue to show up and continue to be happy, because it's just going to piss them off.
I love it. Get back at them. Just be happy. I love it. I love it. So what would you say to, you know, the listener out there that, you know, it does have anxiety, is, you know, and it's heightened right now, and they're trying to do all of the things, you know, what is your best advice for that person out there to just, you know, make it through the end of the day and, you know, make it to the next day, really?
Just breathe. Like, honestly, oil up. If you're oily, use your oils. My favorite oil is Lang Lang. I was actually huffing this before I got on. This helps to keep my heart rate normal and keep me calm. Obviously there's a bunch of others, but I think for someone who deals with anxiety or who has a lot of hats to wear, if you haven't figured out what your thing is, it's very easy to try to get an easy answer. And at the end of the day, there's no easy recipe or schedule or remedy for that. I think too, the other thing is like, there's always people looking for balance. And it's my opinion. This is just my opinion. I'm probably going to get a lot of stuff from this, but a balance is not a tangible thing. Like, you will never have balance. There's always going to be something that's out of whack. And when I'm feeling like I'm pouring so much into my business, and I'm like, oh, I'm really feeling a lot of guilt about not showing up for my kids and just feeding them Cheez-Its every single day and like giving them a dog bowl full of water and just telling them to deal. I don't really do that, people, but I'm just saying, over dramatizing it. People are slamming on their brakes right now and be like, oh God, I don't really do that. But there are times where I'm like, you know what, just give me 5 more minutes. I said 5 more minutes, and you know, it's at a different octave, and it might be a little bit more aggressive than that. But then I have to take myself and say, okay, I'm going to delay something, or maybe I'll take the kids to the park in the morning. So finding balance is really whatever that day needs. And it's not there's a lot of type A people out there that are like, I need to do this X, Y, and Z. And I think once you relinquish yourself from that, it's really, really easy. But I think the other thing too is finding time to pour into yourself, whether that's, you know, a hot bath, or, you know, asking your husband or spouse to let you sleep in like 30 extra minutes. Like, those are golden nuggets that can revive you so much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think finding what works out for you. One thing that works for me is I wake up earlier and I check my messages. And you hear all these people that are like, oh, I meditate in the morning. I check my messages. That's how my eyeballs wake up. And that may not be the healthiest thing, but it's what works for me. And then I take a shower and I get ready, get the kids ready, and I have to clean. Like, if I do not clean in the morning, if I do not wipe the kitchen down and vacuum, I'm a lunatic. And I know this is one of my biggest flaws. I am a crazy person. So if I can get my vacuuming done before everything else, then I'm pretty good. And I figure it out throughout the day. And I homeschool 3 kids, so I've got to deal with that. But vacuuming for me is almost like a form of meditation. I come up with like the greatest ideas when I vacuum. You can do that when you're showering too. Like, if you have ideas, write them down. Like, that's going to be such a big thing. I put it in my notes. I don't know if I have my phone here, but one of the things that I come up with quotes in my head. I'm like, oh, that would be so great. And 90% of the time they're not that great. And I'm like, oh, why did I do that?
I love that. When you're in this flow of like ideas and creation, and then you're like writing all this stuff down. Like, I have so many ideas for like books and chapters on this. And then like, I go back and look, and I'm like, oh, what was I thinking?
Yeah. Or even maybe you might even need to just sit with it longer. So I was watching Eat, Pray, Love, which I've probably seen 10 million times, but every time I get something different out of it, and this past weekend, I was like, I just want pasta. Like, that's all I got out of it was I want pasta. But there was something about control. And so I wrote control and then I put focus on your mind. I don't need to elaborate, but basically what that's going to do for me is I'll be able to sit with that and then take time to pour my heart into that and give value to somebody in a post or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think being able to kind of go through your day and not drastically alter your day or inconvenience something, but if you need to pause for a moment to focus on something else, then that's fine too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I have a question for you. Do you vacuum every single day?
Yeah, girl, like sometimes 6 to 7 times a day.
Stop.
I swear on my life, it gets that bad. We're having some construction done in the house right now, right before Thanksgiving, because I'm a crazy person. I host Thanksgiving for like 30 to 40 people. So I have to start cooking through the weekend. Yeah. And this is, it's a lot and it's stressful, and I do rentals and centerpieces, but it's the one time of year that I can just have my event planning creativity out. Yeah. So I don't know, but these guys have been in my house. I'm like, can you please leave so I can vacuum?
Oh my God. So I don't want to tell you that the house only gets vacuumed unless there's a major spill every other week when the cleaners are here.
I have housekeepers too. They come once a week. That's one thing. Like, guys, don't ever tell yourself like, I don't want this, or I can't afford this. You find a way to make it work and get help. All right. If you need a house cleaner once a week, once a month to give you a break, do it. But yeah, they come once a week, and I'm like, okay, that's my gift to myself with my paycheck. But we live on 5 acres and we have animals, and my chickens were coming in the house this morning. I was like, get outside, Gertrude. And, but my kids are they're dirty little heathens sometimes. My husband's the worst. He's a contractor and he'll come home with concrete all over him. And I'm like, bro, outside.
No, we've had leaves on the floor for days. And I'm just like, what? We're just living with the leaves.
Listen, if that's what works for you, I'm not judging you. And that's the best things that I've learned is when we judge people, that obviously it says more about us, but I've noticed that when I judge people, it's because of something with me. So I learned to become, and I'm not saying that I'm not judgmental at all, because I am, but I've learned to become like, whatever, cool, that's you. But I judge myself hardcore, and I think that's a big thing. But yeah, the vacuuming is, I need a 12-step program for.
That's the thing. But what I also love is that, like, we're so different. Like, you need to vacuum 6 times a day, and I'm living with leaves and probably dead ladybugs, laying around. It's like, we're so different in some aspects, and then we're so aligned in others. And so, now as a time of any where there's so much division, like, you can be really different from people in some areas in your life and be really aligned in others, and not let one little thing separate you.
Yeah. And I think too, agreeing to disagree is such a lost trait. And it's, this can go down a rabbit hole, and we won't go there, but it's okay, cool. You believe that, or that's your lifestyle. Like, great. I'm so glad that we're not proud of each other for finding what works. We're no longer proud of each other for like being confident in something that's opposite. Like, just because you don't vacuum every day doesn't mean that I'm like, oh my God, you don't what?
It's filthy.
Like,
it's filthy.
I'm sure it's not. Listen,
you may think twice if you come visit, and I'm like, hey, want to stay here? And you're like, I'm good.
No, I'll come help. Like, can I vacuum for you? And it's not because I think your house is disgusting. It's because I need to do it. Because when I'm on vacation and I can't vacuum, listen, I will never claim to be perfect. You could eat off my floors. You could eat out of my toilets, but there's never clean underwear or socks. So balance, right?
I love it. And Brooke is the person that's calling the Airbnb before she arrives. Is there a vacuum there? I need to know.
And if not, where's a local Target or Walmart so I can buy one?
Right. You'll have one when you leave. Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah. You're welcome.
I love it. Well, it's a good place to wrap up. Before we go and I tell everyone how to find you, I have a little game that I want to play with you. Are you in for it?
Yes. Let's go.
Amazing. So it's basically like a would you rather or a rapid fire. It's kind of, there's there's a mix of questions.
No thinking. Okay, no brain cells necessary. I'm down.
Like literally just the first thing that comes to mind, and some of them are random. Are you ready?
Yeah, I just smelled myself. Like, I forgot to put my deodorant on today. I'm like so glad that this is not in person right now.
that we're virtual. I love it. I'm definitely taking the screenshot of you sniffing your armpit.
Do it.
I love it. Okay. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right.
Ready.
I think I already know this answer, but wine or liquor?
Oh, liquor.
No, really? I would have picked you for a wine. That was your wine.
Well, okay, this is the thing. I'm gonna just tequila Casamigos all the way because wine has so much sugar in it, and I'm like, I just feel better. Like I'm gonna be skinnier if I just drink tequila.
Okay, I love it. Tequila makes me black out, but I do enjoy it. Okay,
let's do it.
Shots of tequila going around. All right, go on a shopping spree with Kim Kardashian or Girls from the Home Edit?
Girls from the Home Edit. All the way. Sorry, Kim. I love you, but like I need some organization and really cute baskets and stuff in my life.
I love it. Pool or beach?
Beach.
Would you rather have McSteamy or McDreamy be your real life doctor?
Oh, McSteamy.
Work hard or play hard?
Well, I have no life. I would like to play hard, but realistically work hard.
Okay. Camping or glamping?
I've never gone glamping. I like camping, but glamping.
Okay. Stranded on a desert island. What's the one food you bring?
Sushi, spicy tuna roll. I mean, just the rice. I could make my own spicy tuna roll.
Yeah, it's amazing. Who would you rather have sing you to sleep? There's 3. Ed Sheeran, John Mayer, or Justin Bieber?
I think if you would have asked me a few years ago, it would have been John Mayer, even though he's like a womanizer, whatever. He's got a great voice. Ed Sheeran doesn't do it for me, but Justin Bieber, I feel like he needs a hug. So Justin Bieber.
Okay. You're gonna give him a good night hug first. Okay. Coffee or tea? These can be neither either. Also.
Tea. I'm a tea freak. Like I have a whole cabinet full of tea. That's probably expired, but who cares?
Okay. Expiration dates.
No judgment, right?
Don't need to worry about those. That's just something they put on there to try and sell more. Right?
Yeah, right.
Save or spend?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I have a hard time spending on myself, but I will spend on someone else.
Okay. Love it. Last one. What scares you more, aliens or the deep ocean?
Oh my God. That is a hard question. The deep ocean is terrifying, but aliens. I had a traumatic experience. Okay. My dad, when I was like 7 years old, took me to see Fire in the Sky, which I don't know if you've ever seen. Don't watch it. It's terrifying. It is not for a 7-year-old. I was looking out my window and I thought there was a UFO there for like a year. So I'm terrified of aliens.
I've not seen that movie and I will make note not to see it. Oh man, amazing. Brooke, this was so much fun. You guys can find Brooke at Holistic Housewife on Instagram. And I will leave all the links to her social outlets and everything in the show notes below. Grab her book, Leading with Valor. Until next time, you guys, remember to channel your inner badass and take imperfect action every single day. Thank you, Brooke, for being here.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye. Until next time, remember, done is better than perfect, my friend, and to channel your inner badass and take imperfect action every single day.